I'm starting a band called 1023 megabytes and will never get a gig. Some of you might be having a bit of a chuckle now, finding it quite funny. Some of you might just be thinking, what in the world does that even mean? Well, that's right, in this video we're going to have a look at file storage, and by the end of this video you'll be also having a good laugh at this. Guys, we're talking about file storage, alright? We know files are used to store data in a storage device, and we have storage devices all around us, okay? Our phones, they've got storage on the phone, and we also, in some phones, have extra memory cards that we can put in. Our computer I'm using right now, okay? And some of you might even have a portable hard drive. Okay, now, commonly, when people say, I've got a terabyte hard drive, they think that is 1,000 gigabytes. 1 terabyte is actually 1,024 gigabytes. We'll get to that soon, though. Now, electronic data is represented in digital form, and it uses only 2 digits. Some of you might have heard of binary digits, binary, before. It only uses 0 and 1. So we've got binary digits. Okay, now this BI and this T on the end, BIT, you might have heard of the bit. Okay, each on or off digit is called a bit. Okay, binary digits, they're bits, and a bit is the smallest unit of data stored in an electronic device. So a bit, from the BI and the T on the end, a bit is the smallest unit of data stored in an electronic device. Now, from a bit, we have a byte. So a byte, B-Y-T-E. Let's highlight a byte. A byte is a group of 8 bits. Okay, a byte is a group of 8 bits. So 8 bits, you can highlight that too. 8 bits make up a byte. So a byte is a group of 8 bits that represent a single unit. Okay? So for example, you know, if the data in a text, alright, if the data is text, so like from text messaging, a byte might be a character such as a letter, a number, punctuation. Alright, we know we take a photo on a camera on your phone, that picture file takes up a certain amount of space. Depending on how big it is, it might be in bytes, okay, kilobytes, megabytes, and so on. But a byte is the smallest unit, and it is made up of 8 bits. We're now going to have a look at how do I go and convert between bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, and terabytes. Okay, we're going to have a look at that. So here, I've talked a bit about before the terabyte. And some of you might have a portable hard drive with 1 or 2 terabytes on it. Now, terabyte, capital T, capital B. The next one down is a gigabyte. A gigabyte, capital G, capital B. So I can go from terabyte to gigabyte. And like I said before, it's commonly thought that a terabyte has 1,000 gigabytes, but a terabyte has 1,024. Now, 1,024 gigabytes in a terabyte. 1,024, we use, instead of having to remember that, we just use the multiple of 2 to the power of 10. Okay, because 2 to the power of 10, if you were to put that in your calculator right now, 2 to the power of 10, you would get 1,024. So to go from, if I gave you a terabyte and said, tell me how many gigabytes in a terabyte, you would times by 2 to the power of 10. So times by 2 to the power of 10. The next one down after gigabyte is megabyte. capital M, capital B, megabyte. Now, if I gave you a gigabyte and said convert to megabytes, we still multiply again by 2 to the power of 10. Because there's 1024 megabytes in a gigabyte. There's 1024 gigabytes in a terabyte. What's the next one down after a megabyte? After a megabyte, we've got a kilobyte. Kilobyte. And this is just represented capital K, capital B. And it's the same multiple of 2 to the 10. So to get from megabytes to kilobytes, we times by 2 to the 10. After that, we're down to the starting point, the byte. B-Y-T-E. Our smallest unit made up of 8 bits. We multiply by 2 to the power of 10. Now, in a question, I might give you a kilobyte here. I might give you a kilobyte and say convert to megabytes. So we actually have to go back this way. Well, I'll get a different color here. Let's go green. What's the opposite of timesing by 2 to the power of 10 or timesing by 1024? It's dividing by 2 to the power of 10. So every time we go up, we are going to divide by 2 to the power of 10. Going from megabytes to gigabytes, divide by 2 to the power of 10, and divide by 2 to the power of 10. So all you have to remember is 2 to the power of 10. There's actually 1024. It's a multiple of 1024. Okay, if you can remember terabyte, gigabyte, megabyte, kilobyte, and byte, sometimes a question will say, let's get a different color. Let's go blue. Sometimes a question might say, convert a terabyte to megabytes. What do you think we're going to do? We will have to times by 2 to the 10 to get to gigabytes, and then times by 2 to the 10 again to get to megabytes. So we just have to do 2 calculations. Sometimes, and you can also think about it like this, 2 to the 10 times 2 to the 10 is also the same as times by 2 to the 20. Okay, because over here, 2 to the 10 times 2 to the 10, using our index laws, this is a base of 2, the base stays the same. When it's a multiplication, we add our powers, 10 plus 10 is 20. So you can multiply by 2 to the 20, but I just like to keep it as simple and easy as possible. If I can just remember 2 to the 10, I just need to think about how many times do I have to go down? Once and twice, so it's 2 to the 10 times 2 to the 10. Same as if you had to go from kilobytes, let's say kilobytes to gigabytes, you'd go divide by 2 to the 10, divide by 2 to the 10. Let's have a look at 4 examples between converting between kilobytes and bytes, terabytes and megabytes, and so on. This first one says, convert 5 kilobytes to bytes. So in your notes that you've just written down, let's have a look here. We are going from, just going to get rid of some highlighting. Alright, we are going from kilobyte, down to byte. How do we get from kilobyte to byte? We have to multiply by 2 to the power of 10. So all we have to do to get from kilobyte to byte is multiply by 2 to the power of 10. So in your calculator, what is 5 times 2 to the power of 10? We get 5,120. Well done. Have a look at part B. We're going from 1.3 terabytes to megabytes. So I want to think about how do I go from terabytes to megabytes. Look back up at the diagram. We're going from, I'll get a different color. We're going from terabyte up the top, down, not to gigabyte, but to megabyte. We are going down to megabyte. So terabyte to megabyte, we have to times by 2 to the power of 10, times by 2 to the power of 10. So, times by 2 to the power of 10, times by 2 to the power of 10. So in your calculator, 1.3 times 2 to the power of 10 times 2 to the power of 10. Put that in your calculator. We get 1,363,148.8 megabytes. And that's right, because a terabyte is an enormous storage device. They're your portable hard drive type devices. And a megabyte is smaller, so there's going to be a lot of megabytes in 1.3 terabyte. There's 1,363,148.8. Have a go at part C. We're going from kilobyte to megabyte. Let's have a look what we have to do. We need to go from, let's use yellow, kilobyte to megabyte up here. How do we go up here? We just have to divide by 2 to the power of 10. So, to go from here to here, we divide by 2 to the power of 10. Put that in your calculator. 1536 divided by 2 to the power of 10. We get 1.5. Very nice. Alright, let's have a look at part D. I've got, how many here? Let's count back there. 8,388,608 kilobytes to gigabytes. So, let's have a look. Kilobytes are here. Kilobytes are here. And where are we going? We're going up to gigabyte, all the way up here. Let me see if I can... There we go. Kilobyte up to gigabyte. We've got 2 steps. What are the steps there? Divide by 2 to the power of 10. So we have to divide by 2 to the power of 10 twice. So for kilobyte to gigabyte, we need to divide by 2 to the power of 10. Divide by 2 to the power of 10. So get your calculator out. 8,388,608. Divide by 2 to the power of 10. Divide by 2 to the power of 10. Oh, that's a nice number. We get 8. So 8 gigabytes is 8,388,608 kilobytes. Let's have a look at one more example. How many 3.2 megabyte MP3 files can be stored on a 32 gigabyte micro SD card? A micro SD card is just a smaller version of an SD card, a memory card. It's just a type of storage device. So let's highlight here. I've got 3.2 megabytes and 32 gigabytes. I want to see how many 3.2 megabyte files can fit in this 32 gigabytes. Well, because this is in megabytes and this is going into our 32 gigs, let's change 32 gigabytes in terms of megabytes. So let's convert. Let's convert 32 gigabytes to how many megabytes? We're going to get them in the same units. That'll help us out. So let's think about this. How do we go from gigabyte to megabyte? Go back up to the notes. Let's scroll back up. We're going gigabytes to megabytes. There's a lot of colours here now. I've done a few questions there. That'll do. How do we go from gigabytes to megabytes? We're going down. So that means we have to times by 2 to the power of 10. So to go from gigabyte to megabyte, we need to times by 2 to the power of 10. So 32 times 2 to the power of 10 gives us, get your calculator out, 32 times 2 to the power of 10. We get 32,768 megabytes. So 32,768 megabytes. It's got to be there, megabytes. Now, I want to know how many 3.2 megabytes can fit into 32,768 megabyte storage device. So let's see how many, in a sense, I'm just saying, how many 3.2 megabytes can divide into 32,768. So therefore, okay, we're saying the files that can fit, the amount of files is going to equal Our answer, 32,768 divided by. Alright, how many? 3.2. Okay, I want to see how many 3.2 files can fit into our total 32 gigs, our 32,768. So get your calculator, 32,768 divided by 3.2. We get 10,240 files. Okay, so 10,240 files will fit into this 32 gigabyte. Now these files might be songs, okay, MP3, audio. This means that on a 32 gigabyte, we carry 32 gigs around on USBs all the time. 10,240 songs can fit onto 32 gigs if they're all this size. Obviously depending on the size, length and everything, but that's amazing. Imagine how many can fit in a terabyte. So now we know that a multiple of 2 to the power of 10 gives us 1,024. There are 1,024 megabytes in a gig. That's why if you're starting a band called 1,023 megabytes, we'll never get a gig.